Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. We are on lesson 101, classes on, in A Course in Miracles workbook lessons. Today's lesson is titled, God's Will for Me is Perfect Happiness. Today we will continue with the theme of happiness. This is a key idea in understanding what salvation means. You still believe it asks for suffering as penance for your sins. This is not so, yet you must think it is so while you believe that sin is real and that God's Son can sin. I mean, this is... I'll keep reading. If sin is real, then punishment is just and cannot be escaped. Salvation thus cannot be purchased but through suffering. You know, isn't that crazy how we believe that if we don't worry about something, or if we make a mistake but then immediately kind of forgive ourselves for the mistake, that we're still going to be punished because we're not putting forth enough guilt, or what we mistake for like quick forgiveness of our errors as not caring, and that we can just get away with anything, and that we're just like pushing it on, sweeping it under the rug. And it's actually none of those things. It's none of those things. Like, if we don't feel so much guilt over our wrongdoing, then we are going to have to really face our maker, as they say, face that music. And it's in the understanding of how miracles work and how we can become miracle workers is understanding A, the truth of who we are, B, our will is God's will. The plan for us, His plan, is for our perfect happiness. So that means just relieve yourself of the burdens of shit that has gone down in the past, whether you are to blame, as the ego would like to put it, or somebody else is to blame, again, the ego construct, and just go back to that light, which is perfect happiness, perfect joy, perfect peace. And when you can let that light in, the light will shine right back out. And that's where the miracles are made. They are made, they are created, they are kind of who we are anyways, inherently, like our birthright and our pre-birthright. That's how miracles take place. But it is important to truly, truly let it all go. I am currently in the process of letting things go that have put me in kind of a flight or fright state of anxiety that I thought I let go. But I know everything that is trickling up, bubbling up, geyser-like situation, in fact, is meant for me to examine, but not examine to hold on to. Look at it and ask, what is this telling me about myself? Where is this coming from? Get to the source, get to the root of the injury. Because whatever's bubbling up is the symptom, but like there's the root of it. And then you can look at the origin of that pain and then immediately shine that light on it and say, but that's not who I am. That's not who I am. So that, and from that point, it is a lot easier to soften your internal workings up, opening your heart space and really just handing that burden over. And it could be like, I've been going through this I've been seeing evidence for about a couple of months, but now I'm really at that point where, okay, maybe it solved one issue, but other things are bubbling up. And this is the time. I don't think, again, I know there is no coincidence as to the timing of why everything is just coming up to the surface, because now is the time. Lesson 101. After several years of doing this, it's time for me to join in the holiest place that I know, which is here, through my heart center, through my heart space, where the intelligence lies. And to truly know God's will for me is perfect happiness. That does not mean to dissect and examine the things that I've done maybe in my past, or things that are happening to me that I feel a victim of. It's to examine, but not to completely sit in and dwell in. It's to see it for what it is, and it's all the ego thought system. And as we know, anything connected to the ego is not real. Is not real. It is an illusion. And now is the time. Release that burden for yourself and go back to joy. Again, you might hear my words. You might be nodding. You might be saying, yes, yes, yes. It really does need to come from here to here, down to here. It needs to drop down to a, what they say, felt state. I've heard that term before. I listened to my ladies, Nook and Corinne, who dissect these workbook lessons. They are very inspiring. I take their interpretation, and when it resonates, it's like, yes. So now I want to share that information as well, because they may put it so brilliantly, but when it has to get to a felt state. And how we get it from here, from an intellectual place to a felt state, a heartfelt, but the heart intelligence, that space is to know it and then to share it, but to also see it for everybody else, not just for yourself. Can you do that? Ask yourself, can you see everybody else as forgiven, as sinless? Because that's when you're releasing these burdens, that's what you're essentially saying is there is no sin. I am perfect. I am invulnerable. I am sinless. I am sinless. You are a perfect creature from God, and God's will for you is perfect happiness and joy, and to see yourself as sinless. There were mistakes made. Maybe there are still mistakes made. You are human. That is part of the human experience. But by remembering you are truly spirit having the human experience, you can now, God is giving you not just permission, but is urging you, let it go. Urging all of us, release the burdens. Because if you continue to hold on, you're going to have the couple of months that I've had, and I've already had many other little instances throughout my life, but I wasn't doing this work to realize what my ego was doing to me in the physical world. But now I'm doing this work, and then I got taken out the last couple of months with just stuff. I didn't hear it the first instance. Then I got something else that popped up. I didn't listen. The ego had a strong hold on me. It was almost felt like I was being strangled by old past resentment that was coming up, like I was reliving it. I was compartmentalizing. I compartmentalized the trigger and the angst, and I'm doing this work, and I'm compartmentalizing the stuff in my physical reality that's coming up that was clear evidence and a direct correlation to what was going on internally. But I compartmentalized that, And finally, the last straw was this recent incident, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see the light. I finally saw the light. What was going on that I had to let go of. Now, I let go of certain areas, but there's other areas that are coming up. And I am trusting that it's coming up, and it is absolutely taking control over my mind. And I am saying, you are my witness. I am my own witness. God, I am giving this over to you, because your will for me is pure happiness, joy, and peace. I know that. I'm sharing this with you. And the more we share it with one another, the more you feel that way to other human beings, especially if you find yourself wrapped up in news. And of course, we're just judging everybody when we see wrongdoings, misalignments all over the news, on your Google feed, whatever. And if you can get to a place where you're catching yourself in that judgment, oh, that person did this, oh, that person did that, oh, how awful, how terrible. It is awful and terrible. And it's even more awful and terrible that a person is so disconnected from their joy and their birthright to be happy, to live in God's glow, to be that disconnected. It is awful for anybody to be experiencing that, and you don't want that for anybody. Especially, they become so disconnected that they do things that are so what the ego will call and label as horrific. You don't want that for mankind. You want them to connect, because guess what? By them connecting is not taking anything away from you. In fact, it will add to your evolution. By them connecting, by you connecting, will add to their evolution. You want to heal the world by resolving all war and crime. You want every single person out there to be connected and healed and know who they truly are and what God's will is for them. And we will literally be living in nirvana. But that's not the case. That's okay. But that's why it is up to you to work on your healing journey. And in your healing journey, although you may not feel that it's going to affect the rest of the universe, the rest of the world, it doesn't matter, but you will see some changes within your immediate surrounding. And that's a start too. But you're doing it for yourself to get to that feel-good space, to that perfect happiness. If sin is real, then happiness must be illusion, for they cannot both be true. The sinful warrant only death and pain, and it is this they ask for. For they know it waits for them, and it will seek them out and find them somewhere, sometime, in some form that evens the account they owe to God. They would escape him in their fear, and yet he will pursue, and they cannot escape. I mean, this will get you sick. These ideas that are so embedded into our nervous system, into the cell body, it's no wonder why cancer has flooded this planet. Heart disease, autoimmune, if we're dealing with health, and there's other things that have flooded this planet of problems. And we're thinking, why is there, we have so much advancements in medicine. Why is there such an uptick still in disease and pain? Because unfortunately, no technological advancement, especially in medicine and in healthcare, is going to resolve the deep-rooted thought system of sin that is embedded in each of our cell bodies from the time we were probably brought in, this lifetime, previous lifetimes. I mean, this has just been an ongoing, growing infestation of pain. And we can now just cut it off like a cancer. We're going to cut this shit out. We can do this. It will take some undoing. I don't even want to say time, because it's kind of funny how simple this is, yet so difficult. And you know, in my limited 3D mind, you know, it has taken me some time to get there, and I'm still kind of battling some things in my mind. But it can be in a holy instant that it gets flushed out of the system. It really depends on the readiness, your readiness to flush it out, and your faith and your trust in this process and the undoing. And for me, I need 365 days of practical applications for me to undo my mind. Thank you, Jesus, for this guidebook to get me there. Some people might do it in other ways. As long as the result is the same, that you understand you are perfect happiness, it's all correct. If there's conflict, then look into that modality, look into that thought system. And keep in mind, you don't have to sacrifice a thing to achieve this understanding at the felt state. Really feeling it, not just knowing it. If sin is real, salvation must be pain, and they cannot escape. If sin is real, salvation must be pain. Pain is the cost of sin, and suffering can never be escaped if sin is real. Salvation must be feared, for it will kill, but slowly, taking everything away before it grants the welcome boon of death to victims who are little more than bones before salvation is appeased. Its wrath is boundless, merciless, but wholly just. Who would seek out such savage punishment? Who would not flee salvation and attempt in every way he can to drown the voice which offers it to him? Why would he try to listen and accept its offering? If sin is real, its offering is death, and meted out in cruel form to match the vicious wishes in which sin is born. If sin is real, salvation has become your bitter enemy, the curse of God upon you who have crucified his son. Ooh, that sounds awful. That is hell. That is hell incarnate. Hell. When you leave this beautiful planet, you're only going to the place you came from, which is perfect, eternal happiness. But this shit that I'm reading about, that's hell. That is hell. Oh, who wants that? So it goes to say you need the practice periods today. I mean, I know I need the practice periods today. The exercises teach sin is not real, for it has no cause. Accept atonement with an open mind, which cherishes no lingering belief that you have made a devil of God's son. Hell. There is no sin. We practice with this thought as often as we can today because it is the basis for today's idea. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin and suffering is causeless. Joy is just, and pain is but the sign you have misunderstood yourself. That just felt like somebody been like sitting on my chest, and I felt them just like, get up. Fear not the will of God, but turn to it in confidence that it will set you free from all the consequences sin has wrought in feverish imagination. Say, God's will for me is perfect happiness. There is no sin, it has no consequence. So should you start your practice periods and then attempt again to find the joy these thoughts will introduce into your mind. Give these 5 minutes gladly to remove the heavy load you lay upon yourself with the insane belief that sin is real. Today, escape from madness, that self-imposed prison. You are set on freedom's road, and now today's idea brings wings to speed you on and hope to go still faster to the waiting goal of peace. There is no sin. Remember this today and tell yourself as often as you can. God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth because there is no sin. You are saved. Those are my words. Those are God's words speaking through me to you, to myself. You are saved. There is no sin. This is the truth. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Lesson 101. Say it again, 5 minutes every hour if you can. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Anything that should bubble up in your mind, say to yourself, this is not my will. There is no sin. You are set on freedom's road. I'm going back now. And I love this last part. Fear not the will of God, but turn to it in confidence that it will set you free from all the consequences sin has wrought in feverish imagination. Let it go. Let it go. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Thank you so much. If you managed to stay to the end, hit the like button. If it's something that felt like a big yes to you, share it, make a comment, say yes if you want to make a comment that you accept that God's will for you is perfect happiness. So like, share, subscribe, do whatever, but most importantly, just know what God's will is for you. God bless you, and thank you very much. See you next time.